Hey everybody, thank you all for watching me here on YouTube live. Now, I finally got everything working because I tried this one attempt. So if you see it in there before and wondering what happened to it, that's what happened to it. Um, as promised, I wanted to go ahead and provide a uncut, pure edition of my review on my friend Torri Kugel and him being my vegan coach. Um, I want to keep this very clear that what I'm going to be telling you guys is purely uncut. There is no script. Nobody told me what to say or anything like that. So I want you guys to know that I'm not being paid to say any of this. Obviously, you'll know that. Obviously, moving on. So to kind of start where my story began is that December 18th of 2017 is when I started my vegan journey. Before that date, my friend Torri Kugel came up to me and said, "Hey, Christy, you've been trying to lose weight. Nothing seems to be really working, but I think I have something that might help you." And I was like, okay, what could this be? This miracle thing. And he did explain that if you go onto a vegan diet, that this is something that may be able to help you, that it helps me. Now, I said, okay, well, let's sit down, talk about this, figure out what I would need to do. So he's like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and have a sit down meeting and we're going to talk about what veganism is and why it's important and yada, yada, yada. We went ahead and sat down. We actually went to Red Robin's and I just got whatever I wanted to get because I was hungry. I think, if I remember, it was a cheeseburger of some kind, regular fries, and their mint chocolate milkshake. Yeah. So in this first meeting, he is, if you're not already a part of his group, it is on Facebook. It is, he just changed the name to try to make it more relatable to everybody and not just one particular person or people or things like that. Let me see if I can quickly find it for you guys really quick. Because I'm sure, here we go. Vegetarians, vegans, and plant-based people, has like this food pyramid with a woman exercising on the one part and a gentleman sleeping on the right. So he has this group, and if you haven't followed him and are a vegan, vegetarian, or you're just plant-based, you know, that's his page if you really want to join it. I am not an active participant there, and I'll get to that in a minute. So going back, he has all his information that he posts on that page, and he then was trying to tell me that, you know, animals are being abused. It's hurting the environment. Your body is designed to be more herbivore than omnivore or even carnivore for that matter. Although I do agree with nobody should be purely carnivore. Just saying. So, the one thing that first got me to even think about it is he says, think about your teeth. Your teeth are not shaped like a tiger. They're shaped more like monkeys and cows. That they're flat and that these little teeth that we've nicknamed the canine are not really canine. They're really more or less of tools to help to open fruits, nuts, things like that. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? That makes sense. So maybe I'm missing something here. And I'm sorry for any bad lighting at all. One of my lights lights are out. It's bugging me. Anyway, so after we go ahead and we're talking, and he's like, "You know what that milkshake's doing to you? Do you know what that burger is doing to you? Do you know what that's doing for you?" First of all, that's the most terrible I've ever felt eating a meal in my entire life. Just gotta say right off the point is that you kinda like, and he said this after you ate it, like, there's nothing you can do to change this again, kind of thing. And I didn't really like that. I was just like, okay, I understand we're here to make a change and to open my eyes, kind of, and go from there. But do you really think bashing what I'm eating right now is very helpful? So he says this spiel and he's like, "So what do you think of all this?" I'm like, "I think you're just trying to recite a whole lot of information. I think that you also did not really like, you're just throwing information, and that, it is something to think about because, anytime I do something, I want to make sure I know why I'm doing it." And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll give this a shot. I mean, what else do I have to lose, really? I mean, obviously, as some of you know, I started at 360 pounds. 60? Yeah, 360. I believe it was 360. I can't even remember. Um, so he says, okay, now we're gonna go and sit down and come up with a plan to get you started. And I was like, okay, great. So he makes this kind of list and he gives it to me. And one of the things he says is that, okay, I want to go ahead and let you know a couple things. We started going over some of the stuff that you can have, which obviously is kind of a doy: fruits, vegetables, nothing with animal products in it. No cheese, no egg, no cheese, no egg, no honey. He said no coffee, only really water. You can't have anything else besides water, which already struck a nail for me because I am a person that hates water. I am not going to sugarcoat it. I hate water. So for someone to say you can never have soda again, you can never have like even like this, okay? Fruit, uh, vitamin water, zero, okay. Where you have 0 calories and zero sugar, because sugar is one of the main things as well. Speaking of which, I'm thirsty, but you can't have any of that. And he's like, and that's mostly for dieting reasons, not necessarily for vegan reasons. Coffee is vegan. Vitamin water, I'm pretty sure is vegan. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. Um, and Mountain Dew's vegan. Like there are so many sodas that are actually vegan out there. It's ridiculous, but doesn't mean that they're good for you. So after we go over that, he says, okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is exercise every single day, or at least every other day. And he says, on top of that, you want to eat no more than 1,000 calories, 1,200 max. And to me, that was a big thing because I was on a diet before where I could eat whatever I want and I was maxed out at 1,200. Like I'm not allowed to eat more than 1,200. And I knew that that was painful for me. That was very, 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 very painful. But he knocked into my brain how important it was to try to stay under 1,000 as much as possible. If you did go over, do not go more than 1,200. So I start doing the regimen, and then he's like, okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to the gym. So we go to the gym, and the first day he makes me feel like I am dying on a treadmill. Like he is pushing my limits, but it wasn't in what I would call a healthy way. He would have, pushed me not only to my limits, but I felt like at some point that it's like, okay, I feel like I'm in actual kind of danger here for my physical health for all the sake of pushing limits. His thing was also run your steps every day. Okay, I know it worked for him, and that's great. But I told him, I was like, I can't do that. I get out of breath way too easily. And if I get out of breath, my throat constricts. So then I have to drink water or something to loosen it up. So that way I can even breathe again, which I'm not going to run up and downstairs with water, because then when you're running on like a very small amount of food and you're drinking water consistently, yeah, that makes me kind of nauseous. So he's like, but you got to do it. You got to do it. You can't walk. You got to run. Run up the steps, run up and down as fast as you can, as many times as you can. And it gave the impression that if you feel like dying, get up and do it again. And that's how it also felt with the gym, is that, I understand pushing yourself. Every trainer says you have to push yourself. If you feel tired, you want to stop, go an extra 5-10 minutes. Don't push yourself to the point that you're actually hurting yourself. But I felt that I felt like I was hurting myself, not helping myself. So after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to knock it off with that much workout. Okay, I'm still going to work out. I'm going to work out where it is comfortable, but I'm still going to do something, push myself, and at least try to stretch it out a little bit. And because a part of it was because I did not want to tell him, because, well, I kind of did already, that it's like, look, that's not for me. That's not for me, but that's all he wanted me to do. So instead of telling him, hey, I'm going to the gym, I just didn't tell him I was going to the gym. So that part is on me, that it's like, I didn't want him to be my gym partner anymore, because we're on two different levels at this point, and he's trying to push me at a level that I can't get to at where I was in my weight. I was just starting out. I was still 360 pounds. Today I am 294. Okay. If he would have done that now, that probably wouldn't have been as terrible. So after a while, what ended up happening is that we didn't go to the gym anymore. I still did, and he did on his own, or did his own thing. And I noticed that I was like feeling hungry, but not hungry. Like I was feeling hungry, but I was feeling like I don't want to even get close to 1,000, because I keep thinking, you said don't go over 1,000, stay as far under as possible. And I'm eating 600-700 calories a day. Okay. I don't live an active lifestyle. I'm very sedentary. My day job is working as a law clerk. Okay. So I am sitting down for a good amount of the day, and, getting up for filing or working with clients or stuff like that. But I'm not working out. I am not like up and around like you would at a warehouse or anything like that. So here I am doing 600 calories, and now just like, okay, it's okay. I'm actually really satisfied. So I'm okay. But then as time goes on, I'm hungry, but I don't want to eat. And then I had to think why. And I found it's not because I'm not hungry, it's because I really don't want to eat the food. So I want to back up a little bit and say that for the first couple days, Torri did text me and say, "Hey, how's it going? What you doing? What'd you have for breakfast? Would you do this? Would you that?" And he seemed really involved with it. But after about a week, I'd say about a week, the text messages started going down, which was fine for me, because I'm not like that person that like someone up their butt. So that's fine. But I did eventually reach out for him to help and said, "Hey, look, I'm supposed to be eating these foods. I'm still on board with trying, but it's just, I don't know why, but I'm not even enjoying the food I'm eating anymore." And he was saying about different ways to spice things up. And then he said, "How about you talk to my friend Whitney, who was her family was vegan for quite some time, and she was vegan no, she was just vegan. I don't know about her family, but she was vegan for quite some time. I don't know how long. And I was like, okay, good idea. So we start a chat and we're talking, and they're saying, you got to eat more. You got to eat more. And I was like, okay, but I'm just scared to go over 1,000 calories. I don't want to overeat. I don't want to do that. I want to break that cycle. And Whitney starts explaining, look, because of your weight, you can go to about 1,500 calories or more, depending on, what you're doing, when you're doing it. And she showed me about the MyFitnessPal app. And I said to her, I was like, that's great and all, but Torri told me not to go over 1,000 or 1,200 max. Well, he denied it, or said that he didn't fully deny it. He said, yeah, but I said you can actually fluctuate it, which he did not. So I'm thinking, okay, so if we adjust this, I use the app and I think it said I can do, well, if it's that, I think it said like 1,800, I think, when I first started, because it will reduce as you lose your weight. So as time's going on, I'm like, okay, now I have another problem. Now I'm too scared. I'm too scared to go over because this is still stuck in my mind of that 1,000 calories. And I don't want to overeat. That is like my biggest fear, is overeating, because that's what got me into this mess. And they're trying to explain that, well, you were overeating, but you were eating the wrong foods. With this, you're not technically overeating, even though you are eating a lot. You're eating a lot of the right foods. But I'm also a person with depression and anxiety. And for me, this is a very sensitive topic of my weight and trying to balance things out. As my coach, I reached out for help of, I'm battling this. And it seemed like for a while Whitney was doing more of the helping, and he sat back and watched. And he didn't like interrupt with too much, not during this phase. And kind of just let her do her thing. Um, and after that's pretty much said and done, it's just like the communication between me and Torri at about like 2 months, 3 months, probably 2 months, went to practically nothing. He disappeared. He looked at my Facebook, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Links in the description below if you want to check it out. But he didn't do much after he started getting it up. The minute that I started showing struggle, I started showing issues with what he was giving me, because it was not accommodating to me. Because he might have been okay with pushing himself to the point where he felt like he was going to barf. Okay. I don't know about you, and I'm not on The Biggest Loser, but I don't want to barf. I don't want to barf trying to work out and trying to get a skinny self. If so, I'll be anorexic. Thank you. So what I feel ended up happening is that as time went on, he lost interest in me. That's something that's hard to say, as much as I'm sure it's hard to hear. But I feel he lost interest because I was not doing it his way. And there's a lot of different things that lead me into that direction. Because another thing is that I also feel the more I question things, rather than trying to see both sides, he clearly said, I'm closed-minded about this, which, kudos to a point that you're saying you're closed-minded, but by being closed-minded, all you're doing is listening to what I have to say, just so you can say you let me talk. And I've learned that my biggest problem with vegans is not their beliefs, is not their diets is not their lifestyle, it's how they communicate. Most that I have come in contact with will come across as my way or the highway as far as this particular one thing. And the only thing I can say is similar to that is hardcore Christians. Now, I don't mean the Christians that are kind of liberal as far as like different beliefs, they twist a little bit. I mean the ones who are strict, Bible driven, that if you even doubt it for 5 seconds or less, you're condemned to hell. Like those kinds of people, the ones who take them to the extreme. Now, I'm not saying every vegan is like this because there are vegans out there, and I have seen them that actually want to have this conversation with you, who want to be open with you, who want to try to convince you in a positive light to bring you over to them. And I like that. I wish I could see more of that rather than you don't agree, so I'm going to delete your posts. Because when Torri and I had a conversation and a debate going on, okay, it was not going in a very productive way. I will say that. But instead of leaving it up for everybody else to just read it and judge it, as soon as the conversation was done, or that I just ended it because I'm just like, I can't keep doing this when you're not going to listen to me. He deleted all the posts. And, he can say until, you know, he believes it that it was just because he didn't feel it was necessary to be up there. I can't remember if that's exactly what he said, but to me, it just seemed that we're having a conversation, and rather than letting other people judge the conversation for what it is, or see how you are admitting to be closed minded, that you are not letting them judge that for themselves. And that actually hurt my feelings a lot. Um, and especially from that point is where I got to thinking about a lot of different things. And which is also why on my Facebook, for those of you following me, you see my weight going up, down, but not by a whole lot. Like I haven't like done a huge gain and then a small loss or stuff like that. But I can definitely say that as far as Torri is concerned, I think that my personal opinion is that, he will always be a friend of mine, and that I understand that he started with the greatest intents. But I think the greatest intents went from helping a friend to trying to convince the world of his mentality. And I think that people that are vegan themselves, I think they are onto something. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not. I mean, if you want to be vegan and stay vegan and do your thing, that's great. High five. But for those that aren't, I find education is the key, because there's some people out there who will listen to information, take it all in, but accept it. But then there's other people who won't even listen to the facts, who won't even take them into consideration, who won't even try to understand. And that's a problem. And I will say, because of this experience, that I honestly was thinking as a life coach, someone who is going to be there to help through the difficult times, because there are going to be a lot of ups and downs no matter what diet you're on, especially when you are dealing with depression and anxiety, or even other people that have bipolar, who has past suicide attempts, who have like all these different self-imaging problems. Like I'm one of those people who has a self-imaging issue. Okay. So some things are more mental than physical. And that's a lot of what a diet can be, is a lot of mental than physical. And I'm not saying that, he just shoves information and it's not right or wrong, you know, but as far as a coach, my interpretation of what a life coach or a diet coach or lifestyle change coach, whoever, whatever you want to name them, is someone who is there to make sure you stay on track, someone who's there to keep you motivated, someone who is there that if you have a problem, they will genuinely try to find the answer, not try to let someone else find it. And my biggest issue is that the communication died off. And his major thing when we first started was communication is key. So I also need to say that due to a recent post that he commented to mine, I actually have a big announcement that I'm going to put into another video. It'll actually probably be shortly after this because I kind of want to get it out there at the same time. But I want to have this strictly be about the review because at the very beginning, I did tell him by the time this is done, there's going to be a review on it, on you and how the process went. Um, if you got this far into the video, I do want to thank you for taking the time to actually go through the entire video. I tried to sum it up as best as I can. And I want you all to know Torri is a really good person. He generally, overall speaking, he is a really good friend. And that, he is one of those people that he also likes to be liked by a lot of people as well. So, if you ever have a question or a problem, typically on generic scales, you can always, ask and he'll, it's not like he'll ever ignore you. Um, so, but, um, yeah, if you want to follow my pages, I put the link in the description below. Definitely go ahead and comment and like this video. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. So then that way you'll definitely get notifications anytime I go live. And you'll be notified of any new videos that I have. If you want to chat, definitely go to my Facebook page, listed in the description below, and, like my page, and then, send me a message. I'll be happy to talk to you. Um, and, if you have any questions or anything, hit me up. Again, I want to just finish this video on a positive note that Torri is really a decent friend. As far as overall, and I know that it seemed like a lot of this has been kind of bashing, but it's not. It is my honest and uncut opinion. I do believe that in a review, you have to be that. And so that's kind of how I wanted to address this video. So until my next video, guys, I will see you later.